When Herbert Warren Wind was a freshman at Yale, he chose to write his English essay on A Brief History of Golf. As anyone familiar with Herb's later work knows, he never wrote briefly about anything. But on this occasion, what may have been his first essay about the game, he confined his research, un-Herb-like, entirely to a reading of the golf entry in the Encyclopedia Britannica. He got a good grade, but years later, he distinctly remembered the professor's written comment. "What I like most about your history of golf is that it's completely different from anything that one might find in the Encyclopedia Britannica." Herb was completely different. Born in 1916 in Brockton, Mass., a golf town, he said, his father owned a company that made manufacturing of shoe components its business. After Yale, he studied for 2 years at Cambridge in England, where he played rugby and golf and met the late British essayist Bernard Darwin, the only other pure writer in the Hall of Fame. During World War II, Wind served in the U.S. Army Air Corps in China, and during the occupation of Japan, he wrote a script for the first radio show that gave a true account of the war to the Japanese people, called Now It Can Be Told. In 1947, he joined the New Yorker as a staff writer during the literary magazine's halcyon days of E.B. White, James Thurber, and A.J. Liebling. One of his first profiles was about Robert Trent Jones, the architect. He switched allegiances to a brand new magazine called Sports Illustrated in 1954 and worked as its golf editor until 1960. He then consulted on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf before returning to the New Yorker and taking over the Sporting Scene column, where he wrote dozens of stories about golf. I was his last editor at Golf Digest, where he contributed regularly from the 1960s into the 90s. He wrote many books on golf, but the one that stands above the others is a continuation of his freshman English paper. It's called The Story of American Golf. Required reading for anyone who's serious about the game. He wrote the autobiographies of Sarazen and Nicklaus, two classics, and he collaborated on the best instruction book of all time, Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons. I was looking through my own library the other night and came across one of Herb's books called The Realm of Sport, a wonderful anthology of sporting nonfiction. I bought mine secondhand. When opened, I saw it was signed by Herb to an old friend in his beautiful penmanship. "You'll love the stuff on fox hunting," he wrote, "but the modern pieces are weak." I'm afraid that's the opinion he'd have of modern golfers and golf writers, the game's governing bodies, and golf equipment. You'll love the original stuff, but the modern pieces are weak. If Herb were here today, he would say that the ball goes too straight, the drivers go too far, the wedges spin too much, the putters are too long, and the number Tiger's chasing is not Jack's 18, but his 20 major championships, because he'd count the U.S. amateurs. My favorite line ever written about a golfer is Herb's description of Bobby Jones, which told the story of a lifetime. He wrote, "As a young man, Jones was able to stand up to just about the best that life can offer, which isn't easy. And later, he stood up with equal grace to just about the worst." Herb had an ear for the strategy of golfers like no one before him. About the 11th hole at Augusta National, he once quoted Hogan as saying, "If you ever see me on this green in 2, you'll know I missed my second." Today's pro will write a whole instruction book that doesn't say as much as that one sentence. Herb wrote not with the humor of Dan Jenkins, or the flourish of Charles Price, or the wit of Peter DeBruyne, all of whom deserve their place in this hall eventually. Herb wrote with an elegant spare, and knowing style that made him the most important American golf writer of the 20th century. Now it can be told, Herb, you're in, well bowled. Thank you.